So I am working on that representation video, but it's a lot of research and it's a rabbit hole of scripting. So that's not going to be out for a few weeks. I wanted to do it this month, but oh well, that's how the cookie crumbles. Instead, I'm doing this video on Illumination. So, let me confess something right out the bat. I don't hate the Minions. Yeah, I know. Don't worry, me and my therapist have been working on those opinions. So I plan on doing 2 separate videos. This one is about the company as a whole. Their business model, art direction, advertising, legacy, pros and cons, etc. And the second one is sort of a quick review of all the movies, excluding the newest. I'm not paying to see this. And I'm splitting this up for 2 reasons. One, this video would be half an hour, if not an hour, if I did both at once. And 2, well, let me explain. So for this video, I got up yesterday morning and I watched 6 Illumination movies in a row. Yeah, don't worry, I'm picking that medication off the floor now. I'm gonna need it. 8 or 9 hours of movies in one video. I decided to split it into 2 just to get my money's worth for the work I did. Before then, I was fully ready to give this company a positive rating. I generally thought that their movies were a bunch of harmless, spineless, kind of unassuming simple fun, I guess. Sure, it never tried anything new or daring, but it never hurt to watch. Well, I'm a little bit more jaded now. I hit movie 4 and I was dying on the inside. I pulled up my Switch to play Enter the Gungeon halfway through the Minions movie, because each minute was taking years off my life. Like, I can mostly deal with the easily predicted and ultimately sappy movies, but after watching one after the other, I began to realize how similar they all are. In tone, in art direction, in cinematography, writing, everything. It's all the same. So before I talk about the company, let me give you a quick idea of how I feel about each movie. Despicable Me is pretty good, surprisingly heartfelt, it's an enjoyable experience. I like this one. Hop, it's like an unnecessary Chipmunks ripoff, and it's painful to sit through, and I watched the rabbit shit candy, and it wasn't weird porn. The Lorax, a decent message muddied by poor storytelling and a poor ending. Also, the Onceler is too nice. I'll get into that further later. Despicable Me 2 is okay, ultimately forgettable though. I honestly don't remember much of what happened at all, and I saw it yesterday. A Mexican restaurant in Lucy. I don't remember much past that, to be honest. The Minions movie is absolutely insufferable. Okay, so I recognize that I am not the target audience and demographic for this, but still, it did not make watching this any less painful. I hated this. Secret Life of Pets, cute, but predictable. It's one of their better movies, but to be honest, it's not saying much. Sing was painfully predictable, and you pretty much watch the movies if you watch the ads. Simple as that. Despicable Me 3, I actually kind of liked this one, other than the side plots, and I think this movie leans the most into its wacky premise, and it helps its presentation and tone. And the last one I watched was The Grinch. And to be honest, despite its low rating, I'd say this is probably Illumination's best movie aside from Despicable Me. I actually have quite a lot to say about this movie, so I'll get into it in the next video, but I actually have some positive things to say, and that's okay. So, the only movie I haven't seen is Secret Life of Pets 2, and from what I've heard, and what I can see from the trailer, it's a fairly lackluster experience that's pretty much held up by cute factor. But I can't really review it if I haven't seen it, so those are just my impressions on it. Let's see if I can get on a more positive note. I'm going to be delving into the good before I jump on the bad wagon and spotlight the bad. There's one thing that can't be ignored when it comes to Illumination, something that keeps them on the forefront of our minds and makes any movie they touch an instant moneymaker. No matter what you think of them personally, you cannot deny that Illumination has a powerhouse of a marketing team. No company has become a success quite as quickly as Illumination has. With their first project, they made $546 million off a movie with a budget of $69 million. That's absolutely insane. I think this is really why people hate the company so much. Just look up Illumination review and you'll see a million videos talking about how they hate Illumination, what's wrong with the company, where did they go wrong, and stuff like that. And I mean, when I see the head of Illumination, Chris Meledandri, literally brag about how little money goes into production and how this is more of a business than an art to him, I get it. I get the anger. I really get it. And the detractors, they have so many good reasons to be upset with their practices. It feels so scummy for someone to toss around the actual creativity and respect that the medium of animation deserves. But I think most of the hate isn't because they don't respect animation, but it's because they make $1 billion for average quality movies. If I'm honest though, I can only respect the marketing and PR teams for this. Maybe it's because my major is media management and I focus a lot on marketing, but I see the numbers they pull and I'm just amazed. Now, a lot of people will say this sets a bad precedent for the future of animation, and that so many will follow in their footsteps, and in turn, we will no longer have some of the high quality animations we see today. Which, I mean, I get it, yeah, I could see that happening. But I mostly see Illuminations as sort of like fast food. Just because there's another McDonald's across the street doesn't mean that fancy little bistro downtown is just no longer going to serve high quality meals. It's kind of just the nature of business. And, I mean, what can I say? I love me some greasy McDonald's from time to time. It's unhealthy, it's bad for me, and it offers no real nutritional value. But I don't need every meal to be fancy pasta and sushi and steak. Speaking of McDonald's, I can't say I really remember too many of the details of Sing, but I sure as hell remember those McDonald's Sing promotionals and ads. It's been 3 years since that movie's release, and I vividly remember those commercials. I am impressed. I don't remember any commercials for anything else. So I just find the ability for their ads to stick in your head kind of impressive. Another good thing about the company is that despite their smaller budget, I've heard that working there isn't too bad of an experience. But this is all secondhand, and take it with every grain of salt you can find. But I've heard those employed through Illumination are actually treated with respect, so that's a good thing. Alright, so that was a short segment, so it's, I guess it's time to get into the bad. I can't really avoid it any longer, so let's talk about the Minions. Yeah, they're everywhere. And honestly, it's pretty painful. Spoiler alert for my next video. The Minions movie was the worst of the lineup. There's no sugarcoating that. But, that being said, I generally don't hate them. Sure, they're plastered onto everything, and their unintelligible gibberish is painful to the ears, but usually I can tolerate them. Especially in the first Despicable Me movie. They're mostly served as cute moments or short gags, and they were fairly unobtrusive. I actually liked them at some points. I mean, and I recognize I'm not the target audience for what the Minions offer. It's clearly a thing for young annoying kids, and for some reason soccer moms to latch onto. I mean, I loved tons of things as a child that, looking back now, are just annoying. That being said, these things are painfully annoying. And I actually had a headache halfway through the Minions movie. Now, another bad thing is that it's truly sad to see a company without one strong, artistically sound piece. Even some of the lower animation studios, the ones we don't consider top tier, have really wowed us, at least with one piece. Blue Sky made that Charlie Brown movie, and I really liked the art style of that. Sony Pictures Animation, they made Into the Spider-Verse. What happened there? What does Illumination have? Personally, I'd say the Grinch has the most artistic individuality, but even then it's drenched in the tone that every single one of the Illumination movies have. At the end of the day, I can understand why so many people hate Illumination. It's cheaply made, doesn't have a lot of heart, and it's pretty creatively stagnant. At the end of the day, it's just another company trying to get money out of you, though. Blue Sky isn't exercising creative integrity when they release the 5th Ice Age movie. Disney isn't when they keep making those live action / photorealistic takes on classic. And I mean, the first videos I did were on the Disney sequels, the direct-to-DVD sequels. Those are terrible. And do I even have to mention the horrors that Sony Picture Animation actually tried to get us to pay real money for? All I'm saying is that Illumination isn't unique in its practices. I think it's just people don't like that that's kind of the only thing they do. For the most part, I consider them harmless. I like some of the movies. I hate some of them. But ultimately, they're okay. So for the next video, I will be talking about every single one of these Illumination movies. So if you want to see me pretty much tear apart these movies, subscribe, and, you know, when my next video comes out, that'll be what it is. Oof. I've already started the scripting for that, and I'm not gentle in some of these. Some of them were kind of bad. So, let's set sail into the next video.